We can't really talk about it.
Yeah, no,
It was a good
It was
movie.
Aladdin.
All right. Heads up, spoilers. If you haven't seen it, we're going to be discussing spoilers because
Because this is a review of Aladdin, and hence there must be spoilers in it.
exactly.
Yes.
At least our version.
All right. So we went with how many people were there? It was 12 of us, 13?
Well, there were 14, because Zane brought 2 extra.
It was 14 of us, and I think that was pretty incredible that all 14 of us came away with pretty much like, yeah, we pretty much enjoyed this.
Yeah, that was the most impressive thing out of all the movies that we've seen recently. And
Live action
we
particularly.
do go every single Sunday, sorry.
Sunday.
So it's pretty crazy that when we normally take about 10 to 12 people with us, of all the people who went, not a single person came out of the movie thinking that wasn't worth it.
Including the most senior one of us.
Yeah,
Which is very
an
surprising.
88-year-old
Yeah.
woman liked it, which
That's a good point.
is pretty crazy given that it's about, first of all, an 88-year-old British woman who probably hasn't had much to do with the Middle East in her whole entire life, and it's a movie about...
And to be fair, I don't think she's ever seen the animated original.
She may have seen it, but has never actually watched
Well,
it.
and there's probably no way she'd remember it too. I mean, she might recognize the name,
Yeah.
but I doubt she'd remember it. So I mean, I think it's fair to say pretty much all of us really enjoyed it, and we've been kind of holding off on talking about it because we wanted to discuss it here. I don't know. For me, since I have more I enjoyed it more than I disliked it, so I figured I'd just talk about what criticisms I had really quick.
Sure.
I think I'll just get that out of the way. I don't know. Maybe you guys feel the same way. Maybe not. There were a few scenes that I felt were kind of weirdly paced. I thought it was kind of odd how it started the film, and Jasmine was already out in the streets trying to get away from her palace life.
Really?
Yeah, because you kind of
didn't do that. That didn't even register.
Yeah, well, 'cause to be fair, we rewatched the animated classic while you had gone back to the States, so
I haven't seen it in
we were
ages.
pretty fresh with it.
No, I didn't watch it. You guys have
Did you not watch it with us?
I watched it today, actually.
Oh, okay. But it's you kind of miss out a few of those character building moments, kind of not having her start off in the castle and kind of build up.
Oh,
that.
yeah. But, the interesting part is, I would mention this to Army as we were coming out of the movie. It's it's kind of capitalizing on the fact that some will have already seen the animated movie.
That's a good point, too.
And
It's
they'll get the gist. of
yeah,
what's
no, that's a
going
good point, too. It's like Spider-Man, right?
Well,
We don't need to
but
retell
also,
this, origins.
I think one big part about the movie that's important for people to remember is that even though it's adapted from a kid's movie, it is being sold to a wider audience now, and I think one of the things that they're trying to do by not showing you who Jasmine is they're trying to play on the idea that both of them are lying to each other about who they are in the same moment that they're trying to sort of get together, if that makes sense. Jasmine is the first person to actually offer a lie to Aladdin. Even though, the idea is to cast her as this, I don't even think she's cast as a weak princess or anything, but the idea is to cast her as the princess who's come into the slums. But she still lies to Aladdin the whole time until Aladdin finds out. And I find it very funny that she's allowed to be mad at Aladdin for lying to her about his identity, but she lies to Aladdin about her identity, and Aladdin's just laughs.
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, that's
how funny / appropriate should it have been if Aladdin was like, hold on, you're saying you lied to me? You're the princess. I could have been killed. I could have my hands chopped off.
No, I mean, that's a good point. Something you don't really think about is it's the whole premise is that she does the same thing, too.
Yeah, and going off of that, the live action movie, when we just watched, obviously, that one actually draws out Jasmine's lie, because in the original one, they find out that.
Yeah. He doesn't he know she's the princess?
They're caught immediately after he takes her to his little home.
And it's the guards who tell them.
Yeah,
right?
she tries to free him by revealing that she's the princess.
No, yeah, that's true.
And the live action one just stretches it out, and like you were saying, it's like a lie for a lie. Now it feels more balanced, because
Exactly.
the lie that she told has now drawn out so much so that it balances his lie.
Yeah.
So I'm very glad. You
Yeah,
brought
so
that
a
up.
few little inconsistencies with characters there, and then again for me the slightly awkward pacing of certain scenes, and then the acting of the main guy who played Aladdin. Like, I'm not trying to criticize him because obviously I think this is one of his first gigs, and I think he still did a really good job. But certain lines, his delivery was a bit off.
Yeah.
For me. Really, that's it. But other than that, those are really my only criticisms of the film. I actually enjoyed it.
I certainly I don't have a problem with Aladdin's, or what I'm not sure what his name is, which is bad. But I don't really actually have an issue with his performance of the character, but I do one of the things that was really cringy to me in terms of I don't know why they chose to make this happen, but the scene where he sort of like puts her hair and puts it behind her ear is so like,
and she like shudders.
Yeah, and she shudders as if like the sexual magnetism of that moment is so much for her that she can barely contain herself.
No, yeah,
while
like,
we're all in the
yeah.
seats, like, oh, this is uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, you brought that up last night. That was
it made him. He literally
me, I'm
shuddered in the movie.
I'm cringe city over here, but like. Yeah, that was definitely.
Yeah, I mean to see him like really like something
moment.
Extend over to get that.
Quite. So in terms of, since we're going to like speak about the bads first before the goods, I do think that the actual main issue for me, besides Jasmine's horrendous song, where people start puffing off into clouds of smoke,
just like she somehow slows time.
Yeah, like besides her, like because having it not be in the original Aladdin, I think kind of took away some of its ability to sort of resonate with me.
I mean, I completely understand. Like I didn't remember that much of the original Aladdin because it's been so long since I watched it, and you guys watched it without me.
Yeah, I had seen it like only about a month prior. So
I could just tell, like, of that song of all songs, it just completely was.
It doesn't fit, right?
No, it didn't.
It doesn't fit. Like as you're watching, it's like, hold on, these other songs like. They make sense given the scene that we're in the movie, you know, like it allows us to transition from one scene to the next. This is just about girl power and how she won't be silenced. And it's like, all right, Disney, calm down.
Yeah, because like that song was meant to like completely complement this new theme they brought into the movie, which is like, you know, her, like she will not stay silent.
Yeah, that she's gonna be assaulted.
That never happened in the original ever. She was like more concerned with freedom than like her voice.
Yeah. Dude, and I thought it was weird too how like again this is sort of a different jump, but you know the final battle they had with Jafar and everything. Again, seeing the animated film and then seeing the live action one, it kind of happened really fast.
Well, so
and
this is my next point.
We didn't get the snake scene. You know, with Jafar,
my biggest problem with the movie above all of those other because they really are minor concerns, right? Is the fact that Jafar is practically a worthless villain. When you think about the movie in total, Jafar he's actually secretly a good guy because he takes Aladdin, gets him the lamp, and there's very little suffering that Aladdin has to do in return. Like Jafar has that one scene where he pushes him out the window into the water, but like Aladdin isn't physically hurt by it. He like almost drowns. Genie saves him, but still like there's no bruising, scarring. Aladdin doesn't get thrown in any jail cells. There's no moment. I mean, he does make freaking Iago turn into like the ultra eagle and go after them, but at the same time. Jafar felt like he kind of felt like an insignificant weakness.
Yeah, he definitely didn't feel on the same like level of villainy as he does in the animated.
And the story seems to focus much more instead on like, again for me, the story seems to focus much more on Aladdin's lie and Jasmine's lie and how they overcome those lies versus. Like Jafar is a bad guy in the cartoon one. You know, like Jafar's freaking terrifying.
No, exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like he completely embraces the fact that he's an evil dude. Like they literally sing songs about it.
And in this movie, he's not actually even that evil. Like he wants power so that he can defend Agrabah against a nation that he thinks will eventually, you know, be a problem for him.
He's practically a different character. Like besides the name alone, that's it.
Yeah,
he has being second issues, which wasn't really
a problem. He just wanted control.
That's it. Yeah, he didn't really have like a particular fixation.
No, I liked that they connect him with Aladdin in making him.
Oh, he was a thief too. Yeah, no, that was actually
good. That was a cool character connection.
Yeah,
and it's like maybe Jafar kind of feels for Aladdin a little bit more, but I still maintain I think that Jafar was way too weak, given his role as the central antagonist of the movie.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, like if we're gonna stick with Jafar for a bit, that whole him pretend like the guys as an old creepy cellmate, that never happened.
Yeah, it's true. He never.
Yeah.
'Cause that's how he discovered
that's how he
Cave of Wonders.
him.
Yeah, to go into. That's true, Johnny. That's a good point. Like
That guy with the freaky teeth.
Yeah.
Seriously, but like but going off of that like changed a huge part of the movie because off of that, like I mean, like just off on the side, instead of like stamping him and like kicking him in there, he tried to kill him with a knife.
Yeah.
Or something like it while he was doing that. But also, Aladdin gets back to the castle. He has no idea Jafar's against him at that point.
Yes.
As opposed to the live action where he knows.
He knows who Jafar, and for some reason doesn't like come up with a plan for Genie to like, how do we get away from this?
Yeah,
guy?
it's interesting,
Clearly
John.
he's gonna
That did not even click. But now thinking about that, like, holy crap! Yeah, they completely
But
changed.
I guess that goes to show how good the movie is in terms of an adaptation of a story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because they just decided like we're gonna skip that beat entirely.
Yeah, I'm gonna
change it
reimagine
up
it.
because like what we were saying earlier, right? It's the movie is much less of a remake and more
A
of
reimagining.
a reimagining of the story
Yeah.
of Aladdin, which is a fine thing. Like I think that if it's billed as a reimagining, then people who like the old one will actually be more receptive to liking the new one as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because we don't. I don't think.
threatens your nostalgic.
Yeah,
childhood.
I don't think anyone really wants to see like a shot-for-shot live-action remake. You know.
It would be terrifying.
So-
imagine if Genie had the proportions that he did in the cartoon.
Oh my god, dude.
So the good part.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So like, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. You don't have any more like. Any
I
more
was-
criticism?
I thought it was kind of a bummer that what was the parrot's name again? I can't remember.
Iago.
Iago. I thought it was a bummer that he wasn't as like talkative as he was.
Yeah,
in
he
the-
played a very little role.
because it's-
Very little
you,
role.
You can see
Yeah.
why they do it though.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like if he starts talking too much, then you get that weird Jungle Book like uncanny creatures that have human voices. Like I like that you could still be confused with him just being a parrot that repeats people's voices like parrots actually do. Versus being like a sadistic.
Dude, it's so funny. He'd like point out the obvious though. Like when someone would go against Jafar, I'd be like, "You're in trouble." It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, but like what I wanted to like say with like in regards to like how talkative that particular character was is like in the animated version, you like a lot of Jafar's sinister character was like revealed in like the conversations between the two of them.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah,
wanted
no,
to, like,
a lot of character was left out with Iago because again in the show,
They didn't really have. I don't think they took enough time to do service to the evil characters of that movie. But again, maybe that was their purpose.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was and that's something I just don't know because again, like it didn't actually take away from the movie. Like there's still enough, I guess, not problem or issue for the characters to fight against, but there's enough of a drama going on there for you to feel satisfied by the payoff of the end.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, so the good.
Yeah, I mean, that was those two things I had mentioned were really the only criticisms I had. I mean, everything else seemed so dang solid. Like, I think the first thing that stuck out to me was Will Smith. Like, his
favorite character of the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of people were really worried about him, obviously, for taking over.
Dude, the first time I saw him was Blue. I was
exactly. I think that was everyone's reaction.
when I first heard he was going to be cast as Genie, no pictures or anything like that.
Yeah.
I was like,
In Fresh Prince, but it like blue, right?
oh, speaking of the Fresh Prince, that little prince he makes appear on the hill there. It's a little call out to the Fresh Prince.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, he's in you'll notice that the colors of the clothes he's wearing is like the theme colors of the Fresh Prince.
Oh.
It's like bright neon green and pink.
That's really
Cool.
cool.
Take a look at that.
Wow.
And people are like, and it's this one's a bit of you can take it either way. Like y'all see my palace, it's referring to Bel Air.
It's very clever.
That'd be really fun.
Very clever. I did not put that together. Oh, apparently too, when Carpet is making that sandcastle and Genie's like, oh, whatever, I can't remember what he was talking to him about, but
Oh, free myself.
yeah, he's like, free myself, do you hear what he said, whatever, and Carpet looks back, the castle Carpet is making is the Disney castle, and Carpet like throws some sand over it like the star.
wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that was brought up to me. I thought, oh, that's
Carpet
cool.
was done really well.
It was, yeah.
I really enjoyed the emotionality of it.
Oh yeah, one of the obviously there's a bunch of good like things that the live action movie did, such as like fill holes where like that would be associated with a live action movie. So like things you would expect like that could pass over in like an animated one that we wouldn't be able to get away with in like
Yeah.
a live action one. So like I mean, I thought going off the carpet one, I thought having him trapped underneath the rock was a nice touch because he was literally just lying.
He was just rolled up, just
cave.
rolled up, just hanging out there.
And
I
it's
mean,
like,
you
okay.
would if you were stuck in that cave for 10,000 years.
But like it would explain like this. It gives reason for like that sense of loyalty. I've been stuck under a rock for 1,000 years, and you just freed me. I'm loyal to you.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
As opposed to like before, it's like I can zoom around this much larger cave than in the live action one.
And I think to give whoever the team was who was thinking about like casting, but also I guess maybe the writers, I'm not sure. The people who wrote Will Smith's song for like when Genie first comes out of the lamp, they did a great job of paying service to Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
While also adapting it to Will Smith.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Like, he has a little bit of ghetto, like not even ghetto, just Fresh Prince vibe. He still does the whole Robin Williams Genie thing, and I loved it because it's like you almost feel like maybe Will Smith was the only person who could have done it that way because he's not super serious about it. It's a joke for him. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, the CG on him and the VFX, I mean, it was just great. Like I thought it looked fantastic. Like every time he's on screen, I was just like, wow, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like sure, it may look a little like silly, but at the same time, I thought, yeah, it just looked really, really satisfying.
The costume design was the tits.
Yeah, everyone, like all the like the guards, like the Sultan, Jasmine,
everyone looks so sort of like culturally appropriate. And I mean, I don't know that much about because we discussed how the Tale of Aladdin is actually Disney's sort of amalgamation of multiple sort of like they're not an Odyssey type story, but they're like tall tales. In the same way that the Brothers Grimm like amassed a bunch of fairy tales.
Yeah, I think one of them's called like something Arabian Nights.
There's 1,001 Arabian Nights, or this was called 1,001 Arabian Nights, or something like that. There's also that other one that he mentions.
Yeah.
But the idea that Disney it's not a perfect retelling of any specific like Persian or sort of ancient Indian culture. It's just an amalgamation of a bunch of different Middle Eastern culture, and I think they did a great job of putting that into the movie, in terms of the design of the locations, the set pieces that were done, like you see bowls of dates and things like that.
Yeah.
Which,
like the market
first
seemed
a little bit cheesy, but then you're like, okay, at least they're doing this and not just putting like, Granny Smith apples there or something like that.
Yeah, no, like absolutely. Like that first scene of when Will Smith is singing Arabian Nights and the camera's going through the market, it's just like, dang, like it really feels so authentic.
And if you pay attention to the actual clothing design too, it really does blend a lot of those different ancient Middle Eastern empires, like themes that you can see in history books together really well. So whoever did the costume design, awesome job.
Yeah, no, I agree. Everything was just visually very colorful and
Will Smith looked dope.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was just a joy to look at. Look at all these different costumes, look at all these different designs, and it really just looked appealing to the eye. It was very, very appealing. And also the music, too. Like the dancing, like when they come in, when Will Smith is singing, like that was just awesome. Like that was just a really cool, like seeing them, doing like all the different animals and...
Waiting on the Sultan was a nice touch.
Yeah, it's just like, come on.
We're waiting for you, and then everyone, it's like flashing back and forth.
Will Smith
for his hand. Will Smith's like sitting there with that cheeky smile on. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and then the scene when they're all like dancing together, and obviously Aladdin's kind of like nervous, and Genie kind of just like you
Puppets
go
in.
off now, yeah, and like they all start dancing there, like it just worked so well. It felt very
and they did a really good job of translating because one of the main issues of Aladdin, right, is the betrayal of Genie by Aladdin, where at the start of the movie it's told like, I'm gonna give you my third wish and free you, because Aladdin at that point is still just like street rat Aladdin, and he can understand this idea that like, of course, why would I not give someone their freedom if they're asking for their freedom? No problem, man. And when he starts getting tempted by vice and all these other things that he's like, that he's wanted his whole entire life, he for a moment snaps into like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't use my wish on Genie, which is a very realistic thing, because I think a lot of people, if given that power, wouldn't have even considered using their wish on Genie. So I like that. but I also love the payoff in the end because it was I felt just as emotionally connected to that moment as I did when I was watching as a kid. Where like, you know how it feels like heartbreaking almost, how touching it is that in the end Genie's expecting Aladdin to use the wish to like cement his place by Jasmine, but instead he frees him but then you're also left with this, it's not just like Genie vanishes and goes and does his own thing. He actually ends up becoming a human being, which the point that you brought up last night is that it's nice to see that the Genie doesn't just go off into the universe and become this cosmic force of doom. If you aren't a Genie, you have to be a human, which kind of makes the idea of being a Genie a bit more successful, but also puts a lot more balanced. Yeah, it puts a lot of weight into the fact that Aladdin brought him down, but also gave him, because it was Genie's wish to just be a human and to be able to then, which they didn't have in the cartoon, I don't think. Genie goes off with the handmaiden of Jasmine, which is awesome because it's like he has a good ending as well.
Exactly.
I love that like little side like story that him and the handmaiden have. That was a really
so
nice
funny.
Really
the scene when Jasmine is in the room with her and Will Smith comes to the door and starts talking to her and he's awkward now instead of Aladdin being
Kid is
awkward.
contagious, he says.
Yeah, no, it was hilarious, and the way that the handmaiden talks to him, she's like, "We'll have 3 kids and a very large boat." And Will Smith's like, "Maybe a small boat," and she's like, "All right." But just her robotic delivery of her lines was really, really funny too. I think that Raja was cool, but didn't really do much.
Yeah.
You know, like I love the idea of her having a tiger. But I was really, again, like, this is disappointing from the Jafar side. Was really excited for Jafar to look at frickin' Raja and turn him into a kitten.
Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen.
Did it.
He just got ported down to the dungeon.
Yeah, he just teleported.
It would have been funny watching like a real life Bengal tiger would just like torn Jasmine to shreds. Like, sit down. Just shoot her up. But going back to the genie freeing thing, that's actually kind of like an interesting idea. If they ever did a sequel, I don't think they will. I think they'll just keep it like as a one-off. But if they ever did a sequel and they bring Jafar back, it's like you could have a weird dynamic where Jafar has all this power as a genie, but he can't do anything because he's stuck, bound by this.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if we wish you free, you lose all your powers as a genie, and we can kind of get revenge on you. But then
he
you kind
would
of
return to being a sorcerer, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Would he? I have no idea.
Well, but because he doesn't have a staff anymore.
That's a good point.
But maybe he would.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then again, when he became a sorcerer, he literally turned a snake into a staff, so...
Yeah, it was disappointing that they didn't have, again, the snake scene.
But yeah, because that's such a huge part of the final battle. Like, even more so than when he's as a sorcerer. He's only, like... Again, even in the animated film, it happens rather fast.
I'm really glad, though, that they didn't have a lot of Jafar as a genie in the movie, because... From the little bit that they did, it was like...
it did look a little goofy. I will admit.
Like, what, he starts casting a spirit bomb and is about to blow up another city? And it was a little bit like... When you're talking about sequels, I think it could be an interesting idea to have, like, not Jafar's redemption story, but, like, he realizes that there isn't any point in being evil as being, like...
Yeah.
Maybe he's the genie for an evil character in the future, and he finds, like, oh, this is a bad choice. And then when he, like, I don't know. I just thought, like, there could be something fascinating to, like, chase down with Jafar if they wanted to do a sequel.
Yeah. I have a question. So you watched the animated film last night.
Today.
Today. What, is his name Ali of Babwa in the animated one? Or is it Ali of Babwa? Like,
I really was glad that you brought that up. Like, in the live action, it's Prince Ali from Ababwa. But in the animated movie, it's Prince Ali Ababwa.
Yeah, see, that was driving me nuts. I was like, wait a second, am I getting this wrong? I thought his name was supposed to be Ali Ababwa.
And here's a nice thing for you. Like, anyone listening to this isn't gonna get it. This is just a between the three of us kind of thing. Of course, Jafar would always mispronounce it, Prince Abubu.
There you go.
Prince Abubu. Our grandmother's name is Boo Boo, so that's why it's funny.
Yes.
Just to point something out, though, especially for, like, because of friends that I have when I was in Lebanon, for example, depending on where you're from or, like, what village you're from, your last name can actually be derived from that.
Oh,
so that would make sense.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be
cool.
That would make sense why they make him Ali Ababwa, because they're trying to recognize that tradition as being...
Okay. Well, that makes sense then. Yeah, because they had some like they definitely deviated from the film in a lot of ways like that. Like a Bob was a place. Jasmine's mom getting killed out in the streets, but then Aladdin mentioning that it's like not like it wasn't the people, it was some rogue group or something.
That's completely new.
And then like the place that Jafar wants to like I said, Jafar's interests are totally different, and he wants to invade Jasmine's mom's home city. Yeah. It's like that's really interesting. Like okay, that definitely was not in the original.
Definitely not. I mean, like they use that kind of her mother dying as like the reason that she's being kept in the palace.
Exactly. Yeah. Which again I'm okay with though, because it didn't in the movie I didn't find myself being like, oh, her mother's dead. What I was like, oh, I guess this is justifiable.
Yeah.
And not to mention the Sultan, Jasmine's father, was nowhere near as naive and like insipid as like.
Because in the cartoon he's a joke. Right?
He is. He is just a clown bouncing around, literally.
Yeah.
Well, and in this movie he names Jasmine the new Sultan.
Which I just want to point out. From a Persian father, which that guy clearly is a Persian man, just based off of the way that he's Iranian, like if I've ever seen an Iranian, and they would never have done that.
Oh yeah, of course that is also
Well, I mean, wasn't he saying at the beginning of the film? I mean, I could be misremembering. Wasn't he saying like the people would never accept it? Like it's an age old tradition. Yeah. So it's like it, and even if he did have that power, isn't it kind of douchey that like Jasmine clearly wanted to sort of maybe be with someone else, but he could just remove the law. Move the law like, oh, you have
That's
to be a
That's
prince.
what they did in the animated film.
Did they? Did they? Oh,
he stayed as Sultan, but he removed the law.
You're right. No, you're right.
But that's interesting. He's like, okay, I'm gonna pass on the Sultan, and you remove the law.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I can't do it.
Yeah, but the dad was okay though. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the dad. I think that. Again, I think the one thing that they did really well was that most of the sub characters could really just do whatever they wanted, without much ramification on the movie, because both Aladdin and Jasmine were really strong characters. Like even though Aladdin's acting was pretty shit. Speaking of sub characters, like the guards and stuff, they're portrayed as more like honor and duty bound. Because like in the animated vibes from these guards.
Yeah, because the ones in the show
just want crooked teeth.
They just hate and they hate
slaughter Aladdin.
Yeah, like they just hate him. Here it's like it's like, oh, he's just an
Also, I want movies in general to get over free running. I'm tired of parkour in movies. That scene when Aladdin like scoots his way down that wall.
Oh, he's like got his back, yeah.
He would have scraped off all of this.
Dude, how smart though when he like grabbed that carpet and like dropped it through the roof and went through the window.
But how did no one like? So the guards are right there. How did no one who saw it be like, yeah, he just went in that window?
Yeah, but like I love that they did that, because it lines up pretty well with like they twist it, but it lines up pretty well with the animated movie, because like in the live action one, he grabs a carpet, uses it as like just something to make them think that he jumped into the roof of another building while he just swung into like another window of the same building he's already on. But like in the animated one, he grabs a carpet, jumps out a window, but that's where the similarity ends. He literally uses it to glide a bit, and then flips it, and then parachutes.
That's reminding me of the most horrifying meme on planet Earth. The one where it's Aladdin in his like street rat pants, and it takes him off, and that's just his balls, or they're filling out the whole
Oh god, I've seen that meme.
Like,
I've seen that meme. Yeah.
I have not seen that, but it sounds horrifying.
It's terrifying. I'm glad that he had different pants in this movie.
Oh my god! That meme is just like horrendously creepy.
Another thing I really liked was, even though this was like this is a new thing that was added. Though I'm glad they did add this thing, because it's something that like movies that deal with wishes usually address. It's like the gray area.
Yeah.
The gray area.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Because like how they word wishes. I mean, like, and like setting aside that whole like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air thing, like they carried it through, and as opposed to like Jafar literally asking to be a genie, they just used the gray area to make him a genie.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Because like
he says he wants to be the most powerful thing in existence.
That's what. Okay, that's right. Because I was wondering I was like, why does he not just say, "I wish to be a genie" like he does in the?
Because like I think he's a little bit smarter. Like they he's portrayed as being a little bit smarter than that.
That's such a good point, because I didn't understand. I was like, why is he saying that? Why is he saying, oh, I want to be the most powerful being ever? Why is he just not saying a genie? But yeah, it's
they just took advantage of the gray area and made him a genie, because that is pretty much a powerful. Like,
I'll tell you what though, not a good idea. Just throwing his lamp away, even putting it in the Cave of Wonders.
Yeah,
I'm burning that thing to the ground.
Yeah,
I'm melting it.
Agree. Yeah,
I'm making it into
or just keeping an Agrabah under the most careful.
If this thing ever gets out, we're in trouble.
Yeah, because what happens? There's another diamond in the rough.
I mean, look what happened in the sequel, Return of Jafar. Some dude just finds the lamp, and it's like.
Wait, there's a sequel.
There was. It was called Return of Jafar. It was direct to DVD.
Return of Jay.
And it was terrible.
It
was all right, but much lower budget.
But all in all, reviews of the movie, I would recommend that anybody of any age can go see it and genuinely have a good time. Unlike a lot of cartoon movies that are adapted to, or the ones that have been adapted, it isn't cheesy, and there's only a couple scenes that are ugh, I don't know what I'm watching. But other than that, it was just it was one of the movies that I really feel like you're getting your money's worth.
It's a fun film to go and watch.
And watching it in a huge screen is really important because of the spectacle of certain parts,
Yeah.
Like when they come into town, sort of showing off the wealth of Prince Ali, or when they're doing the magic carpet ride, you really do need that.
Yeah, you can get a sense of scale and.
Spectacle. Just before we finish up, I just wanted to roll back to towards the beginning, you mentioned earlier, the whole Jasmine being out already and everything, and we had a conversation some time ago about how moving around segments of a story can sometimes benefit. That's exactly what happened at the beginning. You compare the original and the new version, and they've swapped a bunch of stuff around.
Really?
Yeah, she's already out, right?
Yeah.
But in the original, he was already being chased. The whole chase happened without Jasmine there.
Yeah, and the first in the montage opening the film, it's Jafar is already feeding someone to the Cave of Wonders. It's that's an actual scene that happens in the animated film. This one, it's kind of it's just shown through that montage really briefly, and then. Oh, and by the way, it's weird how the lion head
is now in the mountain.
Also good point. It doesn't disappear.
Just in the sand.
Just in the sand. It's in a mountain, and it's not animated. It just kind of sits there
and closes. That's it. Oh, also no scarab.
No scarab too. Good point.
What was the scarab?
The two pieces are put into one, and they turn into the eyes. And
that's at the start of the animated film. It gives you the context of that's how you find the Cave of Wonders. You put these two pieces of the scarab.
It's literally in wasteland, but this one was in the side of a mountain.
Yeah. I didn't mind it.
That was.
But again, it kind of goes back to what you say, right? It's people who are watching this most likely have a passing knowledge that it's based on the animated one, so they kind of have an idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was. What was it? Everything that happened towards the beginning. For instance, what was it? What color was he wearing? That prince towards the beginning. Prince
Xander,
from
Germany.
Yeah, he gets to the palace, but that happens after. Sorry, I can't recall. In the live action movie. She goes back because she sees him get him there, but in the animated movie, she gets back to the castle long before.
Oh really?
Sorry.
And Aladdin watches the prince come in.
Sorry. The prince gets there first, and then she's out. I'm getting it mixed up now. But my point is that towards the beginning there, they mixed up a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, there's definitely things were certainly in there out of order if you were comparing it to the original.
And as opposed to one of the prince that prince's guards calling him a street rat, it was the actual prince in the animated film that called him the street rat.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
I'll tell you what, this movie made me want jam. Yeah, no, I would definitely recommend going seeing it.
You definitely gotta appreciate that meeting scene and then the party, which were completely original in the live action film. Those were great.
Absolutely.
They did. I loved all of Will Smith's lines in the party scene.
Yeah, his humor, Will Smith's humor was just really good.
Fantastic. It was great.
It's so rare that we do see a movie and that every one of us sort of really does enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, like, even a live action remake.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to everybody?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it. It was a good film.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us here on the Player Base. Really appreciate it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Later.